All right, young scholars, thank you for again accommodating me today. Like I said last week, I had hoped to return to campus today, but woke up with a fever and stuffy nose, like I mentioned in the announcement. Um, so, especially over the last couple of years with all the public concerns, decided to take the cautionary approach and again meet with you guys on Teams. So I'm noticing some of the same issues when you guys are submitting the homeworks. So I wanted to touch on that first before jumping into our new work. So basically, the first four classes here, we're going through these little examples in class that relate associated with the homework examples. The reason for this, and you'll see this next week when we do the review for the Excel exam. The Excel exam literally is about 2 pages of, I think it's a Word document. I may just put it up on Blackboard like this, just in a page for you guys to look through. It's literally just like these homework examples, but it's more involved. It's an entire 2 pages worth of basically word problem information you guys have to decipher and use the right formulas for. So that's why for the first 4 classes, you guys are basically given similar assignments. So don't fret if you didn't do so hot on the third assignment. It's the hardest one. And literally after you do homework 4, the other 6 Excel assignments we do together. So keep that in mind. So what I wanted to point out with the homework is, well, the first major thing is a few of you are still submitting the in-class exercise that we're doing in the in-class example and ending up getting zeros. So I want to address that first. Secondly, some of you are not looking through and reading through the examples properly. So here it says it takes 30 seconds of labor to make a brownie. So how many brownies can you make in a minute? 2, right? So how many can you make in an hour? 120.
120.
Yep. So some of you had this 30 instead of 120 on the homework. So your labor formula, was messed up. The primary issue I saw on the homework was when we have money listed like so. Some of you had that listed as 25 cents. That's literally 2.5 cents, 0.025. Some of you listed as 0.25, and it threw your answers off. So you might have lost 2 points for that. And I wrote the comment, typed in assumptions wrong for whichever part it may have been. On the 3B, some of you did. For the exercise room assumption, it says building rooms that have an exercise room charge 100 per unit. But here for the 1-bedroom apartment, it says there's no exercise room. And some of you still put a formula in there. That should have just been $0. So you lost 2 points for that. What was the other big one? Oh, here it is. For maintenance, the example I gave in class for 3B, I showed you an if/or. If the total square footage of the building exceeds 15,000 square feet and the total income is greater than 68,000 per month, you would change that if/or to an if/and, because it says and. Some of you just left the wrong formula in there and kept going and lost 5 points for that. So like I said, if you got a poor score on this assignment, don't fret, because like I said, it's the hardest one of the 10 Excel assignments the entire semester. And like I said, homework 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 we do together. So you should get 50 out of 50 on them. The other issue, like I said in the first class with the homeworks, I don't accept late work unless you have some kind of documentation, like you were ill, you went to the student center and got a note, or there was a death in the family. You can send me a link to their obituary. The class ends Monday at 4:30 usually, if we go the whole time period. You guys then have 6 days, 7 hours, and 29 minutes to submit the assignments. Don't wait until like 11:59, like some of you emailed me last night, to then submit it, because it might have already been closed. Your computer might be a minute ahead of mine, and as a result, Blackboard may have already closed out the submission. So next week, we're going to do the practice exam, and I will submit all of the solution files for you guys to look through next week's folder. I'll probably wait till I get onto campus at like 1:30, 1:45 next week before posting them. This way people have time to email me if they have any issues with homework 4. All right, so homework 4, you'll notice you could choose 4A or 4B, just like always. Well, at least for the first 4 weeks, you have an option to choose one or the other. So the first file for 4A is called inventory. The other file, inventory strings, is for 4B. So we're using that left, mid, right formula stuff that we went through kind of quickly at the beginning of, I think it was last week's class. And you could scroll through here with the homework and you'll see similar examples to what I'm going to show you momentarily. But like I said, I wanted to point out that there's 2 different files here. Inventory for 4A and inventory strings for 4B, because on the example, if you're in our folder for today, there's only one file, inventory and strings practice. And I'll show you what meshes with what momentarily. All right, so before we jump into today's, is there any questions on that kind of spiel about the homework? Nobody? Okay. All right, so for the little file you'll download for today, the tab or worksheet that says inventory, meanings, and assumptions on discount, they relate to homework 1A. And then inventory strings and NFL relate to homework 4B. So on the homework for 4A, you could put the meanings and the assumptions on discount down at the bottom. That's perfectly fine with me. I just did it this way because I want to show you guys how to work between different worksheets. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So when you guys open this, do the little hand raise thing. Is it in this order? BAK, CAN, CLN, DRY, MET, and then PAP? If not, I'll have to show you guys how to get that in that order. So do the little, where is it? Reaction, hand raise thing. Okay. So it looks like it's in that proper order for you guys. If not, you would highlight row A and click this A to Z with the little fan next to it. That's called the sort and filter button. And you would do sort A to Z. A little message would come up. You click OK, and it would sort it for us. So let's kind of pull up the homework to basically give you guys an overview of what this is supposed to do. So you're given a description of data, the product number of a product division code, number of units of that product that is in inventory, which is called on hand, the unit cost to buy from the supplier, which is called the list price, and how many units we sell every day, which is the daily sales. The table, now this is different from what I'm giving you. This is the homework one. This is, that little table is here in the meanings tab. So for this example, dairy has 5 weeks of supply we need to have on hand. Meat has 3 weeks we have to have on hand. Canned goods has 12 weeks we have to have on hand. Bakery has 9 weeks we have to have on hand. Cleaning supplies, 7 weeks. Paper, 8 weeks. So you'll notice on the the homework rather, 4A, that those are different. And then the table here with the discount price is in the worksheet that says assumptions on discount. You'll notice that my table differs from the homework. So you'll notice mine is 0 to 2,000. Theirs is 0 to 200. Like I told you before, if you type that in a certain way, you could use VLOOKUP, but you don't necessarily have to for this example. Oh, how many do we need? Does anybody have any experience with using multiple worksheets at one time? If so, ring in and let us know. Nobody? Well, I do, so I'll raise my hand. All right, so like I said, when you do your homework 4A, if that's what you choose, you can put these meanings and assumptions on discounts just down here at the bottom. That's perfectly fine with me. The reason I did this way, like I said, was I want to show you how to work between multiple worksheets. So in order for us to find out how many we need to multiply how many weeks of product basically for each one we need to have on sale. So first type in the equal sign to start our formula out, like you do with all the formulas. And in this instance, we need to find bakery. So we click into our meanings tab or worksheet. And which one says bakery or BAK? Erin, which cell has bakery's weeks of supply in it?
B 14.
B14, yep. And since we're going to use that for all of the bakery ones that we have, put a $sign before the B and a $sign before the 14. You'll notice here it has meanings and then the exclamation point. That's referring to the worksheet or tab that you're using. So we need to multiply this by something that's back in the inventory tab. So first do Shift 8 to get the multiplication sign. If you go back to the inventory tab first, it's going to screw up the entire formula, and we're going to miss out on what we need to do. So make sure you have that multiplication sign in there first. and then click back to the inventory tab. And you'll notice, just like for meanings, now it has inventory exclamation point, so that we know we're multiplying something in the meanings worksheet with something in the inventory worksheet. So what do we need to multiply this by? We have our weeks of supply. Austin. Austin J, let's go with you. What's going to help us here? How many we need?
8.
Yep, the 8. So E2. But E2 is daily sales. And we're asked basically to have for each week, right? That's what the meanings had. So what do we need to also multiply this by? Allie, how many days are there in a week?
7.
7, very good. So this just gives us the daily sales. So we have to multiply this by 7 so that we know how many we need for a week. So we sell 8 of them a day. Multiply that by 7, it's 56, right? That's how many we sell in a week. So the number that's back in the meanings tells us how many we store in weeks at a time. So when we hit enter, we have 504, right? Everybody's got that? So then click back into the cell and autofill down through F6 so that all of our BAK for our bakery are now all set up. So everybody's got that? We're using our meanings worksheet to give us how many weeks of supply we need at a time, multiplied by our daily sales, multiplied by 7 to give us our weekly sales. Does anybody have any questions on that formula?
Yeah, I was just wondering, are we supposed to create a meanings and an assumptions on the homework? Like we're supposed to create those different tabs?
Now, like I said, on the homework, you could literally just copy these and then post them down the bottom here. However, like I said, the tables change. So weeks of supply 1, 2, 4, 1, 5, 3 are different from my meanings here. So just make sure when you copy that, that you change all of those. And then on the homework, instead of just doing, meanings times inventory, you would do, wherever you had that down at the bottom. But make sure it would be an absolute, because you're using it for all the BAK, all the CAN, all the CLN, all the DRY, all the MET, and all the PAP.
And we need to add the same columns that you have there, like how many we need and how many we have.
Yep. So how many we need, how many we have, order quantity, net price per unit, discount rate, total cost per unit. Like I said, I only did it this way to show you guys how to work with multiple worksheets at the same time. If you want to put everything in all the assumptions in the same file down the bottom, like we've been doing, perfectly fine with me. Okay, so now we're going to do canned goods. So again, we start with an equal sign. We go into the meanings tab, and where is canned goods? What cell? Haley.
B13.
B13, very good. And make sure to make that an absolute, because we're going to use that for all of our canned goods. And then who remembers what I just went through that we have to do before we click back to inventory?
Put the multiplication sign.
Yep. Shift 8 to get our multiplication sign first. Because if you click back into the inventory tab or worksheet, before you do that, like you said, it messes up our entire formula. So we click E3 for our daily sales back in the inventory page or worksheet. And then again, multiply that by 7. And what do you get when you hit enter, Reeves?
Sorry, I'm just clicking after inventory. 252.
252. Very good. Everybody got that? Then again, you click back into that cell and you autofill down to 14. Everybody notices why I'm doing that? That's where the last CAN, canned goods is. Because otherwise, the formula is not going to be correct for the CLN, because that's going to have a different meaning. Make sense? Okay, for the CLN in F15, we have equals to start our formula. We click in meanings, and what cell do we want to reference for CLN or cleaning? Mike.
B15.
B15. Yep, CLN, 7 weeks of supply for our cleaning supplies. And $ before the B and $ before the 15 to make that an absolute, so we can use it for all of the cleaning supply. And then again, we need to put in our multiplication sign before we click back into the inventory worksheet. When we do that, we're going to click on E15 for our daily sales, and then multiply it again by what, Suraj? How many days are in a week?
Oh, by 7. I thought you were on the last. By 7.
7, yep. And we get 245, hopefully, right? And when you autofill that down, you go to 19 because that's the last CLN. And for those of you that have been struggling with kind of saving these, the thing I've been recommending is just file, save as. And for me, I usually use downloads, but what I always recommend for everybody else is desktop and save it. So this way you always know where it is. When you're saving it to your OneDrive, it's perfectly fine if you're going to email it to me. But when you're submitting it on Blackboard, it seems to be giving everybody an issue. So, especially those 3 or 4 of you that have a MacBook. So I wanted to touch on that too. All right, so a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was wondering if you could hover over the can one again. The first one, the 252.
Yes. So you would do equals, click on the meanings tab, select cell B13.
Right.
There it is with the 12 in it, and make it an absolute. Then do a multiplication sign. And then click back into the inventory tab and select cell E7 where the 3 is with our daily sales. And then multiply that by 7 to give us our
Oh,
weekly.
okay. Got it. Thank you.
And then autofill that down to 14 where the last can is. Okay. So we have dairy, meat, and paper left. Who thinks they want to try the dairy formula? Bree, you think you want to go through what the dairy formula should be?
I mean, I could try it.
All right, let's try it.
Okay. Would it be C20? Would we start with C20?
Where's C20?
Oh, wait.
We have to click the inside the meanings tab first to get our
Oh, okay. Sorry.
what we're looking for,
Okay.
our weeks of supply. And which one is dairy?
DRY, so that's B11.
Yep. And we make it an absolute so we can use it for all of the dairy.
Mm-hmm.
And now what?
Would we multiply?
Yep, we put in the multiplication sign. Then we click back into our inventory tab or worksheet.
Okay.
And now what?
E20?
E20, yep.
Okay.
And then what?
We're multiplying again?
Yep.
All right.
How many days are in a week?
7.
Yep.
So then 7.
And that's the formula. And what happens when you hit enter? Should get 210, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we autofill that formula down to 32 because that's the last DRY. Everybody following along, hopefully? All right, I think somebody raised their hands. We'll have them do the meat. Gabby, did you have your hand raised? Was that you?
Oh, I was gonna do the one for the next company or thing.
Want to do meat?
Yeah, that's MET, right?
Yep.
I got equals meanings, exclamation point, absolute B12 times inventory, exclamation point, E33 times 7.
Yep. Everybody see why it's B12? MET, the 3 next to it. Multiply. Go back in the inventory. E33, because that's our first MET that we have for the daily sales. And then we multiply it by 7 to get our weekly sales. So meanings B12 is where our weeks of supply we need for meat is. Inventory is our daily sales times 7, which is our weekly sales. Now, if you want on the homework, you could put the 7 in as an assumption and just refer to this as a absolute. It's perfectly fine with me. So you should get 189 and drag that down to 40, which is the last of our meats. Okay, who wants to do paper? Paul? All right, have at it.
All right, so it would be The meanings, exclamation point, then the absolute of B13.
B13?
Oh, yeah, B13. Oh, wait, are we doing can right now?
No, paper.
Oh, so B16.
Okay, very good.
And then it would be, uh, E7.
What do we have to put in first before we go back to the inventory?
Inventory. Oh, wait, before inventory?
Yep, what do we have to do first? Is it addition, subtraction, division?
Multiplication.
Yep. So we put the multiplication sign in, then we go back to inventory and
And then it would be E7.
E7.
Yeah, for can.
No, we're doing paper.
Oh, so E41.
Yep. That's our daily sales there. And then we multiply that by 7 to give us our weekly sales. So everybody see why for the meanings it's different for each one? And that's why you can only do that formula for that specific group. So for paper, it was B16. For the other ones, we used the other 5. So when you hit enter, that's 224. And you autofill that down to 51. And we've now done all of the formulas for how many we need. So BAK for bakery was meanings B14. For canned goods, it was B13. For cleaning supplies, it was B15. For dairy, it was B11. For meat, it was B12. And for paper, it was B16. And you're literally just using the daily sales next to it. That's why we don't make them absolutes, because when you autofill down, it changes those E's as you go. So does that make sense for everybody? Hopefully. Okay. So now I'm going to give you the easiest formula ever. How many we have? Something is already here that I gave you that tells you how many we have.
You don't want here.
Yep, on hand. So we will just do equals C2 inside of G2, which all it does is reference whatever's in that cell off to the side there. So when you hit enter, it just takes the 45s from C2 and puts it in G2. So you click back into the cell and autofill down for every one of them. Down to G51. All it does is takes the number from the C column and puts it in the G column. Now for order, I did that for the order quantity formula, just to make it easy so you know what's right next to each other. On the homework, if you wanted to use C2 and just not have this column, or G, that's perfectly fine with me. I just want to show you how it's much simpler when you have the columns right next to each other to compute. So how do we calculate the order quantity? Anybody want to take a guess? Who hasn't been called on today? Malik, you want to give it a go?
Yeah, I'm guessing I mean, I guess we multiply, not multiply. No, I feel like it has something to do with how many we have, how many we need.
Yep. So think of
Do
it
we, do,
this
we,
way.
do we subtract how many we need from how many we have?
So you want to subtract 45 minus 504?
Other way around.
504 minus 45?
Yeah.
Like this? Is that correct?
Oh, no.
Not sure. How about everybody
Uh-uh.
else? Give the little thumbs up if you think he's right. Why isn't anybody giving a thumbs up? He's right.
Oh.
That's right. Our order quantity is how much we have to order. So we only have 45 on hand, right? And we need 504. So we have to order 459. We need a lot more than we have, right? I mean, how are we going to deal with all these sales that we're looking to have if we only have 45? That makes sense to everybody, hopefully? All right, so you click back into cell H2 and autofill it all the way down to H51. Now, you'll notice here that in this example, what is that, H36? It says negative 246. That means we have more than we need. So go through the entire H column, like so, and any negative number you have, like here in H22, it has -4. Click type 0 into that cell to change it to a 0. Because we don't have to order anything. We have more than we need for those. But by having a negative there, that will screw up our total order quantity, which you'll see momentarily, which is what tells us what our discount rate is. So I see 1, 2, 3 negative numbers. Is that correct? There was only 3 negatives? Yes? No? Maybe so? Okay, Malik and Ali are giving me a thumbs up, so I'm going to assume that they are correct. All right, so I basically have shown you in the past that you can do a sum function, which is what we need to do here in cell H52 to calculate our total order quantity. There's another way you could do it. Everybody see this little sideways M? If you click that, it gives us the auto sum, it's called as well sometimes, formula. And it'll go through and highlight our range for us, which is awesome. And it has the correct range in this example. Sometimes you have to double check and see what's what. So it gave us the correct range, so all we have to do is hit enter. So again, that's this little sideways M. It looks like an E for the auto sum button. All right, so our total order quantity is listed as.
Can you repeat that? Not to cut you off, I ain't hear the auto sum.
Yep. So you could type in equals sum like we've been doing previously, or there is this button here at the top under the home tab that's a sideways M that looks like an E.
Okay.
And if you just
Thank
click it, it already puts in the sum for us and highlights the range that we need to use. Like I said, in some examples, you may have to scroll up and just check that it's using the right range, but In this example, it's perfect for us. So when you click enter, you have a total order quantity of 14,794. So that is how we compute our discount rate. So keep this number in mind, 14,794. So assumptions on discount says what does it say? Where's 14,000? What was it, 794? Where would that fall under for our discount?
16.5.
So that is cell B10 inside our assumptions on discount. So scroll up where it says discount rate, and inside J12, say cell J2, type equals, then click on assumptions on discount worksheet and select cell B5, or B10 rather, where the 16.5 is, because our 14,794, whatever, is within that range. Nope, that's not what I want. I want B10 from assumptions on discount. So when you click enter, that 16.5% goes in a cell J2 on inventory. So we're going to use that now to compute our net price per unit. Okay?
Is that the only thing we have to write in the discount rate
Yep,
column?
because it's literally going to be an absolute within our function here with the net
Okay.
price per unit. Now, if you were doing the homework and put all of this meanings and assumptions on discount down into a file here, you could use a VLOOKUP. Which VLOOKUP would you use? Nearest or exact?
Would it be exact?
Is she right? Who disagrees? It would be a nearest. So the reason you know it's a nearest is there's going to be a range. So here it's 0 to 2,000, 2001 to 5,000. However, if you actually want to use a VLOOKUP, you'd have to set it up like this. 0, 2001, 5,001, 9,001, 1401, 16,001. And I'll show you guys that again next week during the review period. Now the exact, it literally will have you something looking for something. So the exact would be this example here. We're looking for dry. We're looking for meat. We're looking for canned goods. We're looking for bakery. Make sense? And again, like I said, the review and the exam will both have a nearest and exact VLOOKUP, and that should be the way that you guys determine the difference. Exact, you're looking exactly for something. Nearest, you're looking for something that's in between one of those ranges. That's the best way to look at the difference. All right, so how do you think we should calculate net price per unit? Any guesses? We only have one price listed on our screen, right?
Professor, can you repeat the question?
Yes. How do you think we would calculate our net price per unit? We only have one price on the screen here. So you should assume that that's involved. Right?
Would you multiply the price by the discount rate, like as a decimal?
Yep. So we would do D2 multiplied by J2, and we make J2 an absolute so that we use it for everything in our formula. However, that's just the second part of our formula. So we put it inside parentheses. What is the first part? I'll give you a hint. The formula we have right now only tells us what the 16.5% discount is. It doesn't give us the net price per unit. So we have to use the list price again, but
Would it be that minus the list price?
what's the opposite of that?
The list price minus that?
Yep. So we click back to D2 and we subtract it by the list price times the discount rate. So that's going to give us our list price minus what our discount is. And to find our discount, we do the list price times the discount rate. Does that make sense to everybody? It's kind of like, what was that, the first or second week? I show you guys how to calculate, if you got a raise, if your pay dropped, you calculate it a certain way. Make sense? So it's the list price minus the list price times the discount rate. But due to the order of operations, you should have that second part within parentheses. So what do you get when you hit enter? Who hasn't been called on today? Jay, what did you get when you hit enter? You should get $5.38, right? Notice that all your numbers for the net price per unit are going to be less than the list price. Now, let's see. Basically, this is similar to if I were to do, what is 16.5? I could do this the same way by doing this example, D3 times 0.835, which would be the same as our 16.5% discount rate. But like I said, with these homework examples, I'm trying to do it the same way it's going to be tested on the exam, where you want to refer to assumptions, absolute cell references in every situation. Because like the homeworks will, just like the exam, there's kind of always a comment, something to the effect of, make sure this works for all assumptions, all formulas. So once you have that formula set up, you click back in a cell I2 and autofill down to 51 so that all of our prices now change based on our discount. Make sense? Okay. Jackie, how do we calculate the total cost per unit now?
Do
We
you,
have this new price here, so we got to use that in column I.
will you be multiplying that by the order quantity then, or?
Our I2 multiplied by what? Say it again. Go ahead, you had it right. Say it again.
The order quantity?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
it's our new price with our discount applied, multiplied by how much we have to order. It's just I times H. And what did you get when you hit enter, Jackie?
2,468.23.
Yep. Does everybody see how that works? Our new price basically is what the net price per unit is. Multiplied by our order quantity, how much we have to buy. Then you click back into cell K2 and auto fill it down. And now we have to calculate our total cost. How much do we have to spend to buy all these products we need, which is in K52. Who hasn't been called on? Can do that. Gazleen, how do we get the total cost calculated?
You would do the sum.
Yep. We could either do equal sum and then K2 colon K51, close parentheses, and hit enter. Or like I showed you before, you could click the auto sum button here, that little sideways M that kind of looks like an E. And you should get $57,229.79. Now on the homework, make sure when you have the total order quantity that that's just a number and the total cost is a currency. Because when you do a number, you can make it just 0 decimals. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? Malik, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could hover over the total cost per unit.
The total cost per unit,
Thank you.
column K, yep. That is just our new price, which is our net price per unit in column I, multiplied by how much we have to buy, our order quantity. And then you just auto fill that down. And then in this, where is it? K52, you calculate the total cost using the sum function. Or like I showed you guys, you could just click the auto sum button to complete. And like I said, on the homework example, for the most part, all that's going to change is what's in the tables.
If we just like get the formulas down, then we should be able to just do the homework pretty quickly, right? Just different numbers, but it's the formulas we need to get familiar with.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, like I said, for the homework, it's just going to have one tab or worksheet like this. You can copy and see this plus sign here. You can click on that to make a new tab. Or you could right click and select insert, and then I'll create a new worksheet as well and copy in the meanings and the assumptions on discount worksheets, and then just change these. Either way is perfectly fine. Like I said, the only reason I did it this way is to show you guys how to work with different worksheets. Make sense? Actually, let me show you guys. So the inventory file for the homework is just going to be one tab like this. And like I said, you could either click the plus and make those same worksheets and copy them in, or you could just scroll down and put them somewhere down here or off to the side over here. Either way is fine with me. So everybody's kind of clear on that? Now, keep in mind that most people do homework 4B because it's a little easier, but it's up to you. Okay, so for homework 4B, we're going to be using the left, mid, and right functions I kind of showed you guys before, and the concatenate functions. What was that, a week ago or 2 weeks ago? So basically all you're asked is to break down a product description based on the division code. So DRY I mentioned was Terry, MET is meat, CAN is canned goods, BAK bakery, CLN cleaners, PA paper. For the second homework, you don't even have to worry about the weeks of supply because it doesn't matter. I'll show you guys momentarily. The product code is 3 characters within, and the product color is based on this table. So G for gray, W for white, B for black, R for red. So for the homework, it's just BAP 563G. Should be paper dash 563 dash gray, because you want to combine division description, a dash, the product number, a dash, the color description. So you'll see on the inventory strings tab or worksheet here that I've already put columns in that have the dashes for you. Make it a little easier for you. So we have to use functions to get the division description, the product number, the color description, and the full description. So does anybody remember the concatenate with the little ampersands from last week or 2 weeks ago? Because the full description is probably the easiest formula. So we want to start there. The full description, we just combined division description with a dash, product number, another dash, and a color description. So what would the formula be? Who remembers the concatenate with the ampersands? Anybody? Owen, do you remember?
No, I do not.
No. Jackie, it looked like you wanted to say something. Do you remember?
I was gonna ask, would it be like the cell number and then you put the ampersand thing in the other
Yep.
cell?
So we need division description dash product number dash color description. So we would start with F2, then do, where is it? Shift 7 for the ampersand. And we have to include the other 4 too. So then we would do G2, ampersand, H2, ampersand, I2, ampersand, J2. Does everybody see how that kind of makes sense from what it says here on the homework? Eventually we'll get, paper dash 563 dash gray.
Sir, how do you get them all, like the product numbers all like in the same group? So we can have all like the Mets in one and then underneath all like the cans together.
Okay, so everybody heard that question? If yours are not in order like they are on my screen, click column A. Click this button here that it says AZ with a little fan next to it. And select sort A to Z. This message pops up, you'd click sort and then OK. Did that work?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
So again, all our full description does is combine our division description, then a dash, then the product number, then another dash, then our color description. And we use the ampersands like I showed you guys either last week or 2 weeks ago to concatenate, which is combining strings together. So who can tell me why it only says dash dash?
Because there's nothing in the other boxes.
We don't have anything in our division description or our product number or our color description yet. Okay, so let's do the second easiest formula next, the product number. So we have to take our product number out of the cell in A2. So here in A2, our product number is 875. So what function did I show you guys either last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago. We went over concatenate, left, right, mid, right?
Yeah.
So which one of those three do you think we would use here? Left, right, or mid?
Mid.
Gabby, mid? Gabby is correct. We do equals mid. Open parentheses. Select our cell A2, comma. The second parameter is your start number. So what would that be? BAK 8.
4.
4, right? And then comma. Our last parameter is the number of characters we are taking out. So 875, how many characters is that?
3.
Yep. And then we close the parentheses. So what comes up when I click enter? It should be that 875, correct?
Yes.
And now you'll notice in the full description that 875 comes in between the two dashes, because that's where it is.
How did you get the 4 and the 3? I don't understand where that came from.
So the 4 is our starting number. So BAK 875B. So we want to take the product number out, this 875. So the 8 is the fourth number. See, B is 1, A is 2, K is 3, 8 is the fourth number. So that's where we're starting with the fourth number. 8. And we have to take out the 875. So that's 3 numbers, right? 875. You with me?
Yeah.
So the A2 is the cell you're taking the info out of, or the string out of. The 4 is the starting number. So BAK 8, we're starting with the 8, so that's the 4. And the 875 is the product number. So that's three numbers, 875. So that's where the 3 comes from. So click back into cell K2 and autofill that all the way down. So this way our product descriptions just come up. So what is that? Down to 51. Okay. And then for product number, autofill that down to 51, and all our product numbers are now done. And you'll notice back in K2, again, it has that product number in between the dash and the other dash. Okay, so do we want to do color description? Because that's the second hardest. Before we do division description, because that's the hardest. Okay, so we have 4 colors, right? Gray, white, black, and red. So what formula do we think we need to use? If, and, or, ifs. Who hasn't joined us yet? Maddie, are you with us? What formula do you think we need to use here? I'll give you a hint. It's one where you use multiple, where you're testing multiple things.
I'm not sure.
And if you're only testing one thing to see if it's true or false. So what's the one?
Is it the if function?
Ifs with an S.
Yeah.
Because we're testing multiple things at the same time. However, we have to use an embedded function within it. So where is the color listed in the product number? Is it on the left or is it on the right?
The right.
Yep. Everybody see how that was decided? The last number, or the last letter technically here, B, W, B, R, 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 G, W, etc., represents our color description. So we do ifs, then we put a right function inside, select A2, comma, how many numbers do we need? How many characters?
One.
Just one. Yep. We're just taking that last parameter from the string to get our color description. So what is blue? Black. If it was an R, it would be red, etc. So now we actually have to test to see what the letter is. And the reason we do ifs is so we can do everything all at once. Instead of using an if, having to do multiple ones for each one. So this way we just autofill it all the way down and it's done. So we have to check to see what it is. So we do equals. Let's start with the gray. So equals quote G, close quote. Comma. Quote. Gray. Close quote. Everybody sees that so far? Yes, no? Is everybody with me? You see that and understand? Hopefully. So now what do we do to test the other three colors? We have to do the same thing. So comma, right function, A2, comma 1, and equals. Now we'll do the W for white. So quote W, comma, quote white. Is everybody with me so far? Then we do the same for the other two, comma. All right, who has not been called on? Have them do B for black. Austin C, are you here?
Yes.
What do I do for B for black?
B, and then with the parentheses. I mean, not the parentheses, the quotes. And
What
then
do I have to do
comma,
first?
Black.
What do I have to do first?
Oh, do you have to locate it?
Yep.
All right, so that's.
This function here, right? Right function, selected from A2, one character, equals, B in quotes,
And
comma, black in quotes. Yep. And then comma, who wants to do the last one? R for red. Gabby, go ahead.
And then I put right A2 to 1 equals R, comma, and then red. And the R and red are in parentheses. I mean, quotes.
Like that. And then you close it with a closed parenthesis. So see how that's kind of like a boss formula? There's literally 4 things being tested at once. Now, when we get into the division description, 6 things are being tested at once. So the reason we do this, instead of like an inventory, we're just going through, okay, BAK has one formula, CAN has one formula, CLN has formula. This does it for everything. So all we do is click enter here, and it should say B. Because it's a B, it should say black. And it does. And if you did it right and auto-fill down, it literally just tells you the color for all of them. So if it's an R, it's red. If it's a W, it's white. If it's a G, it's gray. Now make sure when you're doing, if you do that homework, that you actually put gray. For some reason, over the years, people have put green for G, even though it literally tells you gray. I don't know why, but okay. So everybody's caught up with that?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
For some reason, it says that the only one that has an error is the first one I have. What could that be because of?
Did you put the closed parentheses here?
Yeah. It's like
What is
working
the-
for, I dragged it down. It worked for all of them except for the first one for some reason.
Okay, click the second one and go up with the autofill and see if that works.
I did that and it didn't work.
Did not work. Interesting.
It just keeps giving like a little error thing.
What's the
Like a
error?
little, it's like the formula contains unrecognized text.
Interesting. I've never seen that. Maybe if you just type it in or copy it from this one below it and put it in, it will work.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that real quick and see if it works.
Nobody else had that issue? Okay, let's see who has a big cold now. Sam, what function do you think we need to use for division description?
All right, well, let's see. Would we be using, all right, well, seeing that one. Ooh, let's see. Would we be using the, let's see. Oh, no, now I'm blanking out. That's great.
So I'll give you a hint. It
Yeah,
starts the same as the color description.
yeah, so it'd be the ifs function, but
Yep.
instead of doing right, we'd be doing left.
Very good.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So everybody sees why he has that? So we're using left because the BAK, you know, the bakery, is on the left-hand side. So what would our number of characters be? BAK.
3.
3, yep. Okay, so now we're basically doing the same thing that we did with the color description. So equals, quote B, comma, quote bakery. Okay. So now there's 5 other ones that we have to do. And we do the same thing. Left, A2, comma 3, equals,
Can I ask a question?
that should be BAK, not just
Yeah,
B.
that's what I was gonna ask. I'm sorry.
Good catch. So that should be BAK, not just B. Then the second one is CAN. And that should be canned goods. Then the third one is going to be CLN for cleaners. Make sure you have all the quotes and all the commas set up correctly, or you're going to end up with an error message. The fourth one is DRY for dairy. The fifth one is MET for meat. Here, I'm warning you guys about the quotes, and I mess it up. And MET is meat. And the last one is PAP is paper. And then you close the parentheses. So you'll notice it's a very long formula that it's kind of going on and on and on. You click the little caret here, it makes the formula bar bigger so you can see everything. So it's just like the color description, except we're using 3 letters. And instead of the 4 examples, because of the 4 colors, there's 6 examples because of the 6 divisions. Bakery, canned goods, cleaners, dairy, meat, and paper. So is everybody clear on that one? And this will literally be the same thing on homework 4B. Except in homework 4B, it tells you not to put a space between canned and goods. I don't care if you put a space between them. That's fine by me. So give a little thumbs up when you have this formula set up and you're good to go.
Could you show your formula again?
Yep. And remember, it's left in this instance because the BAK is on the left-hand side. And the color description, it was right because we're taking from the right-hand side. The 875 was mid because it's in the middle. So those of you that clicked enter, it says bakery, right? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah.
So everybody's good with the formula? I can click enter. So when you
Excuse
click
me?
enter, you get bakery. And when you autofill down, it gives you the answer for all of them. So the papers get paper, the meat gets meat, et cetera, et cetera. And then you look over in the full description column now, and the whole description is there. Your department, your product number, your color. So it's all there. Because I showed you guys how to put these in order, or already had them in order for you, it should be bakery, canned goods, cleaners, dairy, meat, paper, all in a row. And like I said, literally that is the first part of homework 4B. It's exactly the same thing. So now the second part that's related to homework 4B, I'll go over momentarily. This also has, left, right, mid, but I'm also going to teach you how to use the Countif function. So there's a count function that just counts numbers, like I showed you guys 2 weeks ago. There's a Countif function that'll count, a parameter, a certain thing. So in homework 4B, you're going to have baseball things. And the Countif here is the extra credit. How many games did the Yankees win? So in ours, I'm doing NFL. So you notice TB, Tampa Bay, NO, New Orleans, SF, San Francisco, NE, New England, LV, Las Vegas. So here there's just 2 letters that you need for the teams. For the homework, the baseball teams are 3 letters. BAL for Baltimore, TOR for Toronto, etc. So we want to find the first team. So what function out of left, right, mid do you think I should use, Leo?
Sorry, Professor, can you repeat that, please?
What function should I use to get the first team from these cells here? Left, right, or mid?
Did you use right?
Right?
Yes, right.
Why would we use right? We'd want to use left. Because we're taking the first 2 characters, the first team, TB, the first 2 letters. So we do left, open parentheses, select our C2 cell we're taking the info from, And then we need the first two characters, the T and B for Tampa Bay. On the homework, that would be 3 because it's going to be BALTORNYYBOS for baseball team. Everybody understand why it's left? You use left when you're taking something from the immediate left-hand side of the cell. Right when you're taking it from the immediate right-hand side. And mid, anything in between, basically. So when you click enter, you get TB. The first team is Tampa Bay. So click back into that cell and autofill down. You get all of the first teams. So how about for first team score? Would I use left, mid, or right?
Mid.
Use mid. Very good. So mid, open parentheses, click in the cell C2, comma. What's our start number? What's the first team score start at? That 29, right? 29. So what is the 2? TB2. What is that?
3 characters.
3.
3. Yep. So that's where we're starting. Comma. And then how many characters do we need? We just need the 2 and the 9, right? So how many characters?
2.
Yep. Does everybody see that? We're just taking the 29 that Tampa Bay scored out of that cell. So the 2 and the 9, the 2 is the third. So that's where we get the 3. It's just 2 numbers, 29, that's where we get the 2. It takes the 29 out for us. We autofill down. And here it takes the 10 out that Tampa Bay got, the 34 that Tampa Bay got out there. Fairly simple, right? Hopefully. So who wants to do the second team? Dalbert, I don't think I've called on you today. It's also a mid function. I'll give you that clue. So what do we do here?
Is it mid?
Select the cell first, right?
Yeah.
Comma. And where do we start? We're looking for the second team.
5th. 5. I mean.
Yep. Everybody see why he got that? TB29NO. The N is the 5th. And then how many because we need the NO?
2.
2. Yep. So again, like I said on the homework, because the baseball teams are 3 letters, you'd have to use 3. So the second team is NO. Click back in and autofill it down, and you'll see the second team. NO, NO, NE, LV, LV, SF, NE. Okay, the second team score. Who has not been called on yet? Oh, now you got people raising their hands. All right, Owen, I'll let you redeem yourself. What formula is this?
It would be right.
Yep. So everybody sees why in this case it's right. Because the second team score is off on the right-hand side here. 32. And how many characters?
2.
Yep. So again, like I said, left, you're taking from the immediate left. Right, you're taking from the immediate right. Mid is basically everything in between. You get 32. When you autofill it down, you should get 38, 13, 20, 21, 49, and 14, right? So it was left to get the TB out for the first team. It was right to get the 32 out for the second team score. The first team score and the second team were in the middle, so they were using the mid function. Simple enough, right? Hopefully. So now we're asked to find out who won. So how do we do that? We're only testing for one thing here. So what formula do we want to use? Gabby, do you know?
I didn't realize I had my hand raised, but I would do an ifs formula.
Ifs with an S?
Maybe just if.
Yep, we could just do if. Jay, were you going to give us the answer?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could use the ifs function.
We just want to use an if because we're only testing for one thing technically. If you wanted to test both ways, you could use ifs, but it's probably easier just to use an if and test the one way. So we're going to test to see if 2 is greater than H2. Does everybody see why that's the case? Our first team score, our second team score. So if our first team score is greater than our second team score, comma, that means that it's true. So we're going to have E2, our first team. Because if our first team score is greater than our second team score, our first team is the winner, and they should show up in the who won column. But if it's not true, then we do a comma, and what's the not true? It should be the second team, right? G2. If the first team score is not greater than the second team score, then it should give us the second team, because their score is going to be greater. See why that's just an if? Because we're technically only testing for the one thing.
Can you repeat the last part, Professor? The G2?
Yep. So that's our false. Because if the first team score is greater than the second team score, the true is the first team. However, as we can see here, obviously, the second team score is greater than the first team score. So this little F2 greater than H2 is going to be false. So our false is the second team. So if F2 greater than H2, the true is E2. So let's see here. The only one where it's going to be true is SF here for 38 and TB here where 34 is greater than 14. So instead of just having a false or, nothing, we have to show the second team because we're being asked who won. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So when you click enter, what comes up? It should come up as NO, the second team, right? And then when you autofill it down, all of the winning teams came up. So notice here for these two, NO, NO, it's the second team because this first score was not higher. Here it was true. LV, LV, it's false. SF, it's false. TB, it's true. So notice how, like I've shown you guys multiple times now, with the if function, the second parameter is true, the third parameter is false. But we can use different things inside there to show certain information. Remember back to the superior, not superior. Okay, so now we only have two things left. Our winning score and how many games did Tampa Bay win? So for the winning score, we're going to do the same thing. We'll use a simple if function and basically test Simple parameters. So we already know who won, right? We have it in this column here. So you just do I2 equals E2. Comma. And what's going to be our value if it's true? Where is the first team score located? Gabby.
F2.
Up. And then the false would be the other score, right? In H2. Then you close the parenthesis. So what this if function is doing is it's checking. Does the who won match the first team? Well, if it doesn't, then it's false. So we give the second team score. But if it was true, we give the first team score. So in the example SF and TB, the I4 and I8, it's going to give the first team score. For all the others, it's false, so it's going to give the second team score. Everybody see that? So when you hit enter, it gives the 32 for New Orleans. The second team won, so we have the second team score. And then we auto-fill that down, and whatever the winning team was, their score shows up. So for both of these, it's New Orleans, so we have the second team score. For the third one, it's San Francisco, the first team, so their score shows up. And et cetera, for the others. So is everybody pretty clear on that? That's why it's all an if instead of an ifs. Ifs checks for multiple things. Like I showed you with the colors, it was 4. With the descriptions, it was 6. In previous examples, we've primarily only used 2 in the word problems. So now we're asked to find how many games Tampa Bay won. So if you go into the formulas tab and click on more functions and scroll over to statistical and scroll down, you're going to find a formula titled Countif, IF. We're only testing for one parameter here. So we use Countif and not Countifs. So everybody's found that, hopefully. We click on it, and it asks us for a range. So since we're asked how many games did Tampa Bay win, we select our teams from the who won column. So it's going to be I2 colon I8. Do not include I1 because it just says who won question mark. That's quote unquote just the header of that column. So if we want to find how many games did Tampa Bay win, what is our criteria going to be? Let's get somebody who hasn't been called on. Sine.
Yeah.
What would the criteria be for Tampa Bay? What is it? What 2 letters?
TB.
Oh. So here you could just type TB. You're actually typing out the formula. Put the quotes in. Here you click OK. It automatically does it for us. And what number came up? I'll give you a hint. It shows up here. 1, right? When you click OK, it now says 1. Because the only game Tampa Bay won is this game here in I-8, right? So when you do this on the homework, instead of TB, it'd be NYY, I believe. And the range may be a little bigger. There might be, 10 of these instead of, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is that? 7 or 6? Okay. So before I leave all of you to go and do whichever option you choose, homework 4A or 4B, let me open that inventory strings for 4B and show you what I'm talking about. So here, like I said, the inventory is literally the same thing as I just showed you. You can copy in what I showed you guys. If you want to sort everything, click column A, click the A to Z with the fan, select sort A to Z, click sort. It'll do it for you. And then it's baseball instead of football. And there's 35 of them. So you would go through and calculate the same things I just showed you. And it gives you a little description over here. TO equals Toronto, BOS equals Boston, NYY equals New York, TAM Tampa Bay, BAL for Baltimore. So you would do the same things. Left, mid, right. If statements, count if to calculate everything that it asks you to do. So are there any questions before I bid you all adieu? And hopefully, like I said, this will be the last time we'll be remote and the rest of the semester will be face-to-face.
I don't know.
Hold 1
Oh,
minute.
I don't know if you mentioned this before, but what day is the exam?
Okay, so going forward, anytime you have an issue and you may have to miss class, if you're capable and can drop in on Teams, just email me. I'll send you a link to it. With that said, next week, we are going to have the review for the exam. They have used the same 6 different exams that they rotate because this is a standardized Excel exam for all of the BITM 2701 sections. They have not changed them since the spring 2016 semester. So next week, I can't record the lecture because, somebody else might be giving the exam that I'm giving to you as the review. So you may go and, give your buddy my video and they get 100 and their professor's wondering why they didn't get an 85 or 60 like everybody gets. So then on the 10th, you guys have off for your fall break on the 10th and the 11th. Then we come back on the 17th and you guys will have your in-class exam. I think it was Matt A told me that they had some kind of conflict, that they wouldn't be able to make that. So if you have some conflict or issue, you're going away the week of the fall break and won't be back in time for class on the 17th, let me know ahead of time. You'll take it in class the 24th. Paul, question?
Yeah, so for the homework that we had due yesterday, I went to submit it like exactly at 11:59, and I didn't know that like the assignment that goes away when it is 11:59, so I emailed it to you.
Okay, I'll check on that.
All right, thank you.
All right, so the way things are going to go, The third, like I said, we'll do the in-class review. But like I said, if you need to come on Teams digitally, let me know. We'll send a link out to you, but I cannot record it. Like I said, they've used the same tests for the last 6 years. I don't want to have any cheating issues and issues like that. Then you have off the 10th for the fall break. Then you come 17th in class to do the exam. I should be, like I said, going forward, the rest of the semester, every class should be face-to-face. I have a class that's 5 to 7:30. Probably hang out in the classroom till 8:30 and then go over to the student center, grab something to eat before I go home. So if you need until 8:30 to do that exam on the 17th, perfectly fine with me. If you need extra assistance after class, after we go through the review next Monday, the 3rd, ask the questions during class or in that little half-hour break I get between the two classes. Because next Monday, the Niners are playing Monday Night Football. So I'm probably going to bounce as soon as my 5 to 7:30 class ends so I could get home and watch the game. Because I'm a 49ers fan, I think I pointed out. Like I said, you guys will have that basically, 13 days in between to quote unquote study. You'll go through your review that we'll go through in class, and the exam will be just like the homeworks. Fairly similar, but not exactly the same. Minor differences here and there that you'll have to read through and notice. If you want me to print out a copy of the little exam blurb, it'll basically be just like our homeworks. Let me know in advance, and I'll print that out on the 17th for you and hand it out back to you. The other thing with the exam is the headers. So I will show you how to put in the headers on the review on the 3rd, and then on the test on the 17th. Some of you have the DSS accommodations. If you want to take the exam with them, you should let them know like the week of the 3rd, since they usually want a week's notice. And I will send all the information to them. But let me know ahead of time that you're going to do that. And then the class after that, we're going to go through 3 more Excel examples in class. But technically, we'll do the homeworks together in class. And then we'll go on to Access and then come back to Excel later in the semester. So is there any questions on any of that or the next couple of weeks? Well, if you don't have any questions on that or the review or exam, that'll be it for today. And like I said, I'm hoping the remainder of the semester I'll be face-to-face with you guys. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Professor.
Have a good one, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, Professor. I have one more question for homework. B, we don't need to worry about weeks of supply, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
homework B is just using the left, mid, right, and the ampersand with the concatenate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think it's just there because, it's the same as the one for 4A. So
Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.
you too. Thanks. Austin, questions?